From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is great to have you here to the Badass Counseling Show. My name is Sven Erlandson. I am the host of this production, and it's so great to have you here. Whether you are tuning in from Riga or Rio, we love having you here. We have folks that tune in all around the world, and we are constantly hearing from you. And you say hello, and we say hello back with what we're trying to create. Hopefully it's helping you. And I am joined today in studio by the most talented person I know, and that's Rob the Rocket. And also over in the booth is KC in the booth. And we're also joined for the first time ever by someone who's been with our team for quite some time. And she does all of the behind-the-scenes work, booking our guests and so forth. And it's Sophia the Artist. Please say a hello, Sophia the Artist.
Good morning, everyone.
Now, Rob, I know you're itching to say something.
No, actually, I've used some cream this morning, and the itch is gone. Thank you.
No, anytime anyone ever says artist, what do you like to say?
Because I'm a fucking artist, yeah.
That is Rob's John Lennon quote. John Lennon or Paul McCartney?
It would be Lennon.
Lennon, all right. So, yes, we are joined by Sophia the Artist. She moonlights with us by taking care of all production behind the scenes, and she is helping us out on show today simply because KC has twisted her ankle, and I guess she thinks that relieves her of responsibilities. So we're bringing Sophia the Artist on. So please join Sophia the Artist in joining us today. So here we go. Rob, we've got a tragic story today. Tell us about Charo.
Happy to, Sven. Charo wrote in and said, my husband was struggling with sobriety, and we got into a fight in August of 2023. That day he was supposed to go detox, was very drunk, and after our altercation, he decided to get a gun and take his own life. After he physically abused me, I ran out of the house to call the cops as they showed up, and I heard the gunshot. At the time, I thought that he had shot the police, but it was obviously not that. Since that day, I struggle with the trauma that was caused. I push the memories back and try to not think about it. If I replay that day, it hurts my soul. I struggle with my young kids that they don't know where he went, the anger I feel for him leaving that way, and to wreck our family. I've been lost ever since. I miss him, but I'm so angry and hurt and have so much shame and guilt because I feel like I made him do it. I feel like he never loved me, that he always wanted other women. He disrespected me by lying, hiding his drinking, which caused me to relapse on alcohol, which was my DOC, and spending all of our money and working out of state to not be with us because it's easier to work than to take care of kids. Not to mention also finding his father passed away in our house in March of 2023. So 2 deaths so close together really messed me up.
Charo, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Wow. That's quite a mouthful. I want to get some of the basics out of the way first. Charo, how old are your children?
I have a 13-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and the 2 youngest are from him. Okay. And of those 3 children, they obviously know he is deceased, I'm going to assume. How many of the children know that he killed himself? My oldest.
Your oldest knows. And the youngest, what do they know?
He's in heaven.
He's in heaven. Fair enough. Okay. And then let me ask you also this. How old was your husband when he killed himself?
30.
He was 30. Okay. Why on earth did his father pass away in your house?
He lived with us.
I see.
Yeah, he lived with us for about, 4 years? 5 years.
And approximately how old were your children when their grandfather passed away?
4 and 1.5.
4 and 1.5. Okay. So with the 1.5, probably it's not even going to register. 4 lost a grandparent, but not heavily register. The 13-year-old, was the 13-year-old close to your husband's grandfather, even though it was not your 13-year-old's grandfather?
Kind of. I mean, they weren't really close, but
Okay,
I mean, she still had feelings for him.
Sure. So loss of a friend more than a relative sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was here. He was here when we saw him, so I think that kind of messed her up a little bit.
Sure. Of course, as it would, of course, and probably her first dead body that she had seen, sort of thing. All right, so let's get into it then. So you had said, since that day I struggle with the trauma that was caused, I push the memories back and try not to think about it. What is the single biggest reason, in one sentence or less, that you try not to think about it?
It just hurts too much to think about it. Just the whole day.
And what hurts the very most about that whole day?
Like the fight right before it.
And what was the nature of the fight? Sum it up in a sentence or two.
Stupidity.
Okay, you got to be more specific than that.
Basically, I needed help from him, and he kind of just sat in his room and didn't help me, and I got super angry and blew up.
Okay. And what was the single worst thing you said to him when you blew up because he didn't want to help you? What was the single worst thing that you said? What'd you call him? Or what'd you say about what'd you say about the size of his penis? Or what did you do?
I probably called him a piece of shit. And why the fuck aren't you helping me?
Okay. And as you mentioned later in your paragraph, he deliberately would work away from the house a lot so that he didn't have to take care of the kids, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the him not helping out this was not the first time. This was an ongoing thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you called him a piece of shit. And why aren't you helping me? And is it safe to assume that you were screaming at him?
Yeah, I think I threw my phone at him a couple of times because I was just that angry.
Okay, so you were physically abusive to him in that moment.
I guess I threw my phone at him. I guess that's physically abusive.
That technically qualifies. I mean, if you're being physical, then yes, that qualifies as physically abusive. Yes. If you threw a phone at a child, that would be physically abusing a child. If a husband threw a phone at you, yeah, that would be. Okay. So is that the reason then you later in your paragraph say, I blame myself for his death? Is that the reason you blame yourself for his death? That fight? You calling him a piece of shit? Because I'm betting you had called him a piece of shit before. Would that be safe to say?
Yeah, but it's after I threw my phone is when he started taking the crap out of me.
Kicking,
and then I said something to him that I'm not going to say, but it's just.
Oh, no. You're gonna fucking say it. I want to know if it's so bad that you don't want to fucking say it, then I got to hear it. What was it? So you threw your phone at him a couple of times, you said. Then he starts kicking the crap out of you. And just so I'm clear, in what manner did he kick the crap out of you? Was he literally kicking? So he's kicking you in the shins? Was he throwing his phone at you? What did he do to you?
He was choking me on the stairs, and he literally said, "Oh, you can't breathe. I could kill you right now."
Okay, choking. And so now he's physically abusing you, and I could kill you right now. Okay, so he's clearly not going to kill you right now, but he's letting you know, I fucking own you. I could kill you right now. Okay. And then now the juicy part. What did you say to him? Let's hear it.
Fuck you. Nobody loves you. Why don't you just fucking...
There it is. Come on. Say it.
Why don't you just kill yourself?
There it is. Why don't you just kill yourself?
Or die or something. I don't know.
No. Come on. You can do better than that. You're a smart cookie. What did you say? Which was it?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Come on, be honest.
Fucking die or I am. I was a little bit intoxicated, so I can't say.
All right, I forget shit when I'm drunk. All right, that's fair. So if you were to guess, which do you kind of think it was?
Well, I mean, they're both pretty much the same thing. Why don't you just fucking kill yourself?
All right.
Nobody loves you.
And nobody loves you. Why don't you just kill yourself and nobody loves you? Right. Fuck you. Nobody loves you. Why don't you just kill yourself? Yeah. And let me ask you now, have you ever told anyone, prior to right now, have you ever told anyone that you said that to your husband?
My therapist.
Okay. How does it feel to admit that?
My therapist or to you?
How does it feel? Say it right now. What are you feeling right now? Be honest.
Disgusted and regretful.
And let me ask you, prior to saying it that fateful day when he went on to pull the trigger, had you ever told him to kill himself before, or just go fucking die? Had you ever said that before?
I probably have when I was drinking before.
You had said it before. Okay. So this wasn't something new. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, that was the first time he ever touched me, though. We ever got into a fight. So that was unlike him, but he was also inebriated, like beyond.
Had he ever been inebriated beyond before?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he started drinking really bad after his dad died, but then, I mean, I think it was only a year. Alcohol wasn't even his drug of choice.
What was his drug of choice?
He was a heroin and cocaine.
Well, fuck it. Alcohol, let's just go ahead and let's skip ahead to the real shit. Okay, so drinking after dad died. So you said he had never laid hands on me before. Just out of curiosity, had you ever physically abused him in any way whatsoever before? Had you ever punched him, scratched him, thrown a phone at him, put a knife to his gut, anything like that?
I'm sure I've pushed him before. Yeah, I remember pushing him before.
Okay, so you have engaged in physical violence before, pushed him, but he has not engaged in any sort of physical violence prior to that evening. Is that correct?
Correct.
I want to tell you, first of all, I admire your honesty. I really do. Because it would have been very easy for you right there to cover your ass and to say, oh, no, he has before too, and make yourself look innocent. But you didn't do that. You had the balls to be honest. And I fucking respect that shit. Okay. So that was a truth tell right there. So well done on your part. So backing up then, he had never touched you before. And now all of a sudden, completely out of the blue, and you had said before, you also admitted that I had said it before, basically go fucking kill yourself. Okay. You had said that before. And so you say it now, and well, he did it. Okay. And we'll get to the doing it part in a bit, but I asked you how that felt, and you said disgusted and regretful. Presumably you feel disgusted with yourself, I'm assuming, right? Right. And when you mentioned the idea of not wanting to think about that day, what is the single biggest part of the day, the very top of the mountain, the biggest thing, most painful thing that you don't want to think about? Is it that, what you said to him? Is it coming home and seeing his head splattered everywhere? Is it hearing the gunshot? Is it the reaction of the kids? Is it the memory of what the fuck I said? Is it sobering up the next morning? What of that day was for you personally, it's like 10-foot pole, keep it away from me. I don't want to fucking think about it.
It was the fight, what I said, and then afterwards when I called the cops and heard the gunshot.
And of those two, the fight and what I said and the gunshot, of those two things, which for you stings more?
What I said.
What you said.
Well, I mean, obviously, my husband killing himself hurts, but again, I feel like I'm the reason that he did it. So I don't know.
Right. And that makes total sense. It makes absolute sense that you would feel that way. You guys had this big blowout. He's fucking strangling you on the fucking stairs and saying, I could fucking kill you. So he's threatening death. That is a death threat. And so you threatened death back. You said, go fucking kill yourself. It's like if, I was on the highway the other day and I sort of lost my shit a little bit. Some guy, I had to go slow because somebody was going slow in front of me. So I had to go slow, right? And then some guy behind me is saying, fuck you. And I'm like, fuck you. Right? I wasn't a Zen master up on the side of a mountain meditating, right? I just, But what do you say when somebody says fuck you? You say fuck you back, right? Sometimes, right? Yes, sometimes I lose my shit too. Okay. He said, fuck you. I'm going to kill you. And you said, fuck you. Go kill you. Right? In the heat of the battle, especially when you've had a little liquor, it's hard. Right? So on one hand, I get your logic. I killed him. You didn't kill him. You didn't kill him. Not even fucking close. I get why you feel that way. I totally get that. And you know what? That is so common. That is so common. Survivor's guilt and, feeling like, well, shit, my buddy got killed in the war and, we were right next to each other. And if I would have done X, Y, or Z, right? Or, my parent, my mother died. And if I would have just been there, I could have told the nurses to blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. In this case, your husband made this decision. And you said booze wasn't even his drug of choice. Really, what was? Heroin. Okay. Somebody's into heroin. Somebody's got some serious fucking shit going on deep inside of them. Long before you ever came onto the scene in his life. You already had a 13-year-old kid before he even fucking came along. All right. Well, back before he came along, you guys had known each other. How long ago did you guys?
We've been together since 2017.
2017.
So like 7 years.
Right. 7 years. Right. And he probably, I'm assuming, was doing the heroin before that.
We met in rehab.
All right. That's all right. Nothing wrong with that. All right. So you both had issues. You both had issues prior to meeting each other. And then he chooses another drug after his father dies, right? So and if he's choosing another drug, and if he's turning to alcohol after dad dies, this is someone who is terrified of his own shit. And I don't blame him. I mean, fuck, man. You've been running from the pain of this day. He's been running from the pain of his father dying, right? This is what we do. We don't want to touch that shit. It's too uncomfortable. Buddy of mine had 3 people die in his life in his early 20s. 3 people very close to him. He hasn't wanted to touch his shit. He's a young guy, but he hasn't wanted to touch his shit. It's biting him in the ass, right? We run and we run and we run until we can't. You're here right now because you can't run anymore. I'm sick of running is what you're saying. It's killing me, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so at some point we have to turn and face that tidal wave of all the pain we've been running from. We have to turn and let it wash over us, the very thing that terrifies us most. So, and then that means having to talk about it and having to feel it. And of course you're going to feel disgusted that we say those things. Why? But let me ask you this. So that raises a question. And I know this is going to sound stupid, okay? You feel disgusted, of course, I'm assuming. Well, let me ask you. Do you feel disgusted that you said those vile things to him? And they were. I mean, say that to any human, right? It's bad, right? Obviously, we all know that. But do you feel bad because you said them and he killed himself? Or do you feel bad because you said that at all?
Both, but mostly because it actually happened.
Of course. But the truth is, there is something inside of us as persons, just as humans, that feels dirty when we do something bad, Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think it is our nature to want bad for people, No. And you wouldn't be with the guy if you didn't have love for him too. Am I correct?
Correct. I loved him very, very much.
Of course you did. Which is why you stuck through all the bullshit, right? Of course. From 0 to 100%, what percent do you miss your husband?
Probably about an 80%. I was already used to him being gone.
Right. So that's kind of why I'm asking. And so what do you miss the very most about him? Is it the steady income? I mean, it can't be the fact that, it's not like you needed help with the fucking kids. So what is it? What do you miss?
I love doing family things with him. That was like why I married him. Because he wanted to be because I wanted to have a family. He wanted to have a family. We had kids. We even planned our second kid. So, I just loved being with him, going places. He liked to do things just out of the blue. Like, okay, let's go to the fucking zoo, or anything, road trips. Like we did an awesome camping trip like in July before he died. And he planned it all. He's like, let's go here. It's 2 hours away. It's, get the camper. All right.
That's exciting, right? It's fun. You feel like a family and doing things, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I love that. I can totally see why you miss him. Let me ask you this. In your work with your therapist, what has been sort of the biggest breakthrough or insight that you've had so far?
Knowing that it's not my fault. I didn't put a gun to him. I might have, put fuel in the fire, but I wasn't the person who did it. I really think that he might have been planning it because he bought that gun in the summer.
Bingo.
At a rummage sale. Only in Wisconsin, right?
What was that? Say that again.
I said he bought a gun from a rummage sale only in Wisconsin, right?
Well, I don't think it's only in Wisconsin, but hey.
No, I know. But
all right.
He was he had a felony. He's not even supposed to have one. He knew I didn't want guns in the house because I don't like them at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he buys it anyways and just like doesn't care what I think.
So then my question is, are you regretful because it makes you feel guilty? Or because you genuinely miss your relationship with him?
I feel guilty. I do also miss the relationship with him, but to be honest, it hasn't been perfect for a long time. I don't know. I've been thinking about this. I feel like shit for saying it, but it's like now that we're not fighting or I'm not thinking about what he's doing while he's on the road, it's like I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Oh,
so
boy.
It kind of...
You feel relief.
A little bit, but then I feel guilty.
Guilty for feeling relief that he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
You feel guilty that you feel relieved that he's gone.
That sounds bad the way you say that.
No, it doesn't. It feels honest. And I am not saying, and I apologize if it came out this way. I'm not saying that's the only feeling you feel. Okay. I'm not saying that because your love for him comes through 100%. 100%. Your guilt, your disgust with your own self for having said that and then he did it comes through 100%. Your sadness for your own children, I get it loud and clear. So I'm not trying to paint you into looking like some bad guy, okay? I'm really not. But it would be natural. In fact, I would be shocked. And I was actually going to go there. I had this in my notes. I was going to go there and ask you, I have to believe if this is a guy who would work out of state to not be with us, he would spend all of our money. He was disrespectful to me by lying. He always wanted other women. I feel like he never loved me. Fucking hell, of course you're going to feel relief. I would feel relief. I got to be honest with you. I read the fact that he's dead after treating you like that, and I felt a little relief for you. That's a burden to raise 3 children, 2 of which you share together. And he's fucking gone, and you're asking for help, and he's saying, nah, piss off. Okay, I'm feeling a bit of relief for you. I'm saddened by his death, of course. Saddened for his family, saddened most of all for his children, and then saddened also for you, saddened, of course, but a natural response. Feelings are natural, Charo. Feelings are natural. It's not, oh, these are good feelings, these are bad feelings. Bullshit. What's the truth? And the truth is that to feel relief of that burden of being with a man who you like doing the family things. Why? Because during those times you felt loved. You felt like we are one. Am I correct?
Yeah, it was like a high when...
Right.
When you like get a high when he like gives you so much attention and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Put words.
Then you do it again.
Put words to that high. Put it in one sentence. What did it make you feel when he gave you that attention?
It made me feel that he loved me and I was special.
Loved me and I'm special. We're going to hear much more from Charo right after this short break.
I had a really good start in my life, and I've been successful in my career, but I have to say I've learned so much and improved my outlook on life since I met Sven and picked up a copy of Badass Wisdom. With the daily meditations as journaling prompts, I've uncovered a lot of memories that weren't totally pleasant. With Sven's guidance, I've achieved some new understanding, and honestly, I feel lighter. Badass Wisdom is a great read, in nice small bites, and I think anyone can benefit from it. So go to badasscounseling.com and get the book or the audiobook. It could change your life.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
And we are back with Charo. Charo, having endured a suicide by her husband, and they had young children at the time, and still do. The youngest that she has with her now deceased husband, the youngest two are 6 and 3. They were 4 and 1.5 at the time, and she has a 13-year-old from prior to him. You said he made me feel loved and special when he would want to do things as a family, and hey, let's get in the car together and go on a mini vacation or something. And you happen to mention that you're from Wisconsin, so having driven through that state a million times, having grown up in Wisconsin, I know there are so many pretty things to see in Wisconsin. It's a beautiful state. But you mentioned it made you feel loved and special. And then you also mentioned that the two of you met in rehab, which meant, well, you were in rehab. Let me ask you, what drove you briefly to rehab?
My alcoholism.
Alcoholism. Okay. And how old were you when you started drinking?
Probably around 13.
13. And what sort of drove you to drinking at that age?
I lived in a small town, not much else to do, and I wanted to be cool.
Understood. I was born in a town of 643 people, so I kind of understand.
That's smaller than mine.
How small was yours?
1,100.
1,100. All right. You doubled me, but still, that's mighty small. I get you on the boredom thing. And then was it more than the boredom thing for you? Did it become more than the boredom thing? This may sound silly, but were you running from something? Were you numbing yourself?
Sure, yeah.
What might you have been running?
To think about it. My family.
And what do you think when you say my family? What sometimes when we are growing up, we get messages from family. We get messages, and part of what we're trying to escape, whether it's with the bottle or gambling or heroin or overworking, overparenting, a million things that you've heard me talk about on the show or in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. We use things or distractions. We use things to either make the pain go away or to distract us from the pain. Kind of what you said. I try not to think about it. I push the memories back of that death day, which now you're doing less and less because you talk about it with your therapist. You talk about it with me. So it's obviously, it doesn't have that same grip on you. You're not as afraid of it as you used to be, which is just fantastic. You're doing the work. I so admire your courage. But what do you think the message was? If you were to sum up in one sentence or so, what do you think the fundamental message was that you got from your family about yourself growing up?
That I wasn't good enough.
Not good.
That I don't matter.
Huh. Based on that response, I'm inclined to think that you've read the book.
I have not. I really should get the audiobook. I got your regular book.
Okay.
But I can't sit down and read.
No, that's okay, because those are phrases almost ripped directly from the book. That's the only reason I asked. It's like, okay. Now, how were those messages conveyed? Very rarely is it actually said to the child, Charo, you don't matter. I mean, that would be, no parent actually says those words. The child interprets it sort of like that. But how would that message of you don't matter or you're not good enough, how do you recall, how might that have been conveyed in your home to you?
I had time to think about this after listening to some podcasts.
All right. Good girl.
No, my dad was an alcoholic, and he was an asshole. He was mean and scary, and he left my home. Well, anything I did, I was stupid, for one, if I didn't do it right or his way.
And that was his word? His word was stupid?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then after him and my mom finally broke up, he thought he was hot shit. So he had lots of girlfriends. And every time I try to connect with him to do something, he would lie to me, say, "Oh, I'm on my way," but then would never show up. Ooh. Or would say, run it on for 3 hours and then just ditch me.
So he had no desire really to connect. He was a lot of words and a lot of show, but no real desire to connect.
Yeah, he just lied and would just, his girlfriends or his alcohol or drugs or whatever he was doing was always more important. So
Okay.
he's just a liar.
Got it. Liar and drugs. And his exact words were, "You're stupid." And the fact that he never made time for you, didn't want to make time for you, and it was always about his drugs and his alcohol and his girls. Obviously, those things were more important to him than you. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. He spent his time, his money, his energy, his resources on them and not you. So, little girl Charo, you don't matter. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then what about mom? What was the message you got from mom? And if it was the same message, how did you get that message?
It wasn't the same message, but she's a woman of not many words, so she's always distant. She wasn't really there to help me through things. I was actually really mean to my mom when I was younger.
And why do you think? All right, no, that's interesting. Why do you think you were mean to your mom?
I was mad because after her and my dad broke up, she met a guy and they got married within a year, and he moved in, and she didn't really have time to hang out with us.
There it is, right there. There it is. That's why you were mean to her, because she met a guy, and then that next sentence, that half sentence, and she didn't have time for you, right? She did exactly, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong, all right? I got no ego in this. That she did exactly what Dad did. She abandoned you. She turned her back, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, not intentionally. I'm sure she didn't feel that way.
Whoa. Hold on. Now, isn't this interesting? Yeah. She's just, for our listeners, Charo's giving me a face like, oh, you're going to mock me with your oh. I love that face, Charo. That was great. Now, listen to what just happened there, guys. Listen, and you too, Charo. Listen to what just happened. We're talking about Dad. And you say he was an asshole, he was mean and scary. Okay, mean and scary, we'll just set that aside. That's bad, horrible. Okay, no doubt. But then you said he lied. It was his lie, his alcohol, his drugs, and his girls. And so he was always going after his alcohol, his drugs, and his girls, and that's his turning his back on me. Okay, clearly turning his back. You had no problems telling me that, right? Clear, cut and dried, boom, Dad, dick, turns his back, abandons me. Okay, and I said, what about Mom? Now, you didn't bring up Mom. I had to prompt you to bring up Mom. You involuntarily, you just brought up Dad. Okay. I said, what were the messages from Mom? You basically said, well, it wasn't really the same. I said, well, what was it? You said, well, she was just sort of distant. I said, well, what happened? You said, I was actually mean to Mom. Oh, whoa. So we were talking about messages you get from the parent, and all of a sudden you flipped the script that I was the bad guy. Charo was the bad guy. Okay. You guys see what's going on here? So all of a sudden, first of all, I had to prompt her to talk about how Mom might have been the bad guy. And for those of you that just think I'm a mom basher, I'm not. I'm just digging around here. We're just playing around. All right. But isn't it fascinating? She didn't want to talk about Mommy. So I'm thinking, is there a mommy dearest going on here? Well, I had to prompt her. So now she talks about Mom. She just said, well, Mom didn't really, nothing there. There's nothing to see here, folks. Move along. And then she says, well, Mom was just distant. Really? And then she says, I was mean to Mom. So now she's protecting Mom. She doesn't want to talk about anything that Mom did. I was mean to Mom. Wow. So the child is the bad guy. Wow. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Pull up our sleeves. Let's go. What's going on here? A child or an adult now protecting the parent. And you may have felt bad for being, mean to your parent. No doubt. That's understandable if we look back. But come on, there's got to be a story there. No child is for no reason mean to a parent. There's got to be a story there. You want to know why? Children, do you know what their instinct is? It's to love on people. And there's no one that a child would rather love on than a mommy and a papa. No one. Not even their favorite puppy. Okay. So the fact that you go to, I was mean to her, oh, there's a fucking story. So we scratch just a little bit more below the surface. And you say, well, a year after she and Dad divorced, she met a guy and then she was off with him. There's the story right there. And I said, she turned her back on you. And then listen, what does Charo say next? I'm sure she didn't mean it. Wow. So Dad's a fucker. Dad fucking meant it. Dad's a cocksucker, but Mom's innocent. I'm sure it was an accident. It was an oversight, even though she didn't do it once. She didn't do it like one weekend, twice, Friday and Saturday. No, time and time and time again. So much so that you became angry at her and you were angry at her. This is a pattern of behavior. She's a grown-ass woman. Just out of curiosity, how old were you when your mom remarried and turned her back on you, met another man and turned her back on you? How old was your mother?
30s.
In her 30s.
Early 40s. I don't know.
Roughly. How old were you when that happened?
I was 13.
Oh, you were 13. So your mom,
yeah. And
how old was your mom when you were born, roughly? Just ballpark.
I think 28.
Okay, so she would have been 41. 41 yeah. When she's doing this, and you're excusing her behavior. Okay, just out of curiosity, when you went to your therapist and you're talking about your husband's suicide, and your therapist saying, hey, dude, it's not your fault. He's a grown-ass fucking man. He went and bought the fucking gun. How old was your husband when he bought the gun?
30.
30. So your therapist is saying your 30-year-old husband made his own decision. That was an adult male decision. You don't have to let him off the hook by assuming blame. Can we not assume that a 41-year-old mother turning her back on a 13-year-old child made that decision? She was not a victim of this man taking her away. She was not a passive player, but you're acting like she was. You're acting like, I'm sure she didn't mean to. She was 41. Well, she was 11 years older than your husband when he killed himself. She was 11 years more responsible.
It's not like she turned her back on me. She was with my dad for 15 years. They never married, but my dad was abusive to her, and she took a lot of shit. And she stayed in a relationship way too long because she was too scared to get out. And then he was out of the picture for good. So she wanted to find happiness for herself. And I don't know if I'm making excuses for her, but I'm trying to think about why she made the decision she did, because she,
And I'm trying to think about the pain of a 13-year-old girl who has all of a sudden at 13 years old has no parents giving her love. That she has two parents who have turned their back on it so they can go get their fucking rocks off. And I am all for parents being happy. Parents need to be happy. Why? Because if the parents can get their own love cups filled, then then they should be more able to pour love into the love cup of the child. But primary, first and foremost, is pouring love into the love cup of the child.
Yeah.
Now, you never at any point in the story say, and then Mom, after, 6 months of that, then she started really reconnecting with me.
No, there wasn't really any reconnection.
Thank you.
We don't have a relationship like that.
Thank you. And there was never any relationship with it. After this, she got her love cup filled with a new guy, and then she started coming back around. We had a wonderful relationship. No. Isn't it fascinating when you started drinking alcohol? Now, I know small towns.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I know small towns. You could have gotten your hands on a bottle at 8 years old, at 10 years old.
My dad would buy me booze in high school,
13, huh? Divorce happens. Mom meets the new boy. Hey, I think I'm going to go drink with you guys. You could have started fucking drinking at 11. Please.
I probably stole my dad's beer, my brother's beer when they're having parties.
But you see the correlation I'm talking about here.
Yes. Yeah.
All of a sudden, the two people that you love the most in the entire world, all of a sudden, the two people whose love you needed most, whose stability you needed most in the entire world, turn their backs on you. And you are still to this day defending your mother as a victim. And I'm not disputing she was a victim in her relationship with your husband or her husband. I'm not disputing that. But in the end, that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean shit when you've got a 13-year-old daughter or son.
My mom was never the one who would make me that angry. It was always my dad.
But yeah, it was. You said. You didn't say I was mean to my dad. You said I was mean to my mom. Obviously, she made you angry. Why?
Easy target. I wasn't scared of her.
Right. And that's common. That's common. It's not that you weren't mad at dad. It's that, she was an easy target. But also, it's like fucking hell, Mom.
I lived with my mom, so yeah.
Exactly. And you know what? And what you were really screaming.
Probably pay attention to me, show me some love.
That's exactly what you were screaming. And what that was, it was a cry of the heart. And your heart has been crying ever since. Fucking pay attention to me. And so when your husband said, let's get in the car and go to Baraboo, Wisconsin, and, go to the, indoor swim parks there in the middle of winter, or when he said, let's go camping, he paid attention to you and you felt loved. That love cup that's been empty since 13 or maybe even before that he put a little bit of love in there, and God damn, did that feel good. And that's why you put up with a man not helping with the kids, a man lying to you. That's why all those rocks that motherfucker would put into your love cup, all that crap that he would stuff into your fucking love cup, all the shit that he would put in there, you'd allow it. Because every once in a while, he'd pour a little bit of sweet love in there. It wasn't even pour. It was like a little bit of a little teaspoonful. But damn, that teaspoonful is sweet as nectar. Right.
You're right.
And that's why what happens when we're children is so important, because it conditions us. Whereas if we fill that little 13-year-old girl's love cup, and isn't it fascinating you have a 13-year-old girl right now? When we fill that little 13-year-old girl's love cup, even half full, and help her get you, little Charo's pain out of there, rather than adding to more of it if I'm mom, or adding more of it if I'm dad. If we fill that love cup, then guess what she doesn't do when she's 15 or when she's 25? Maybe she doesn't spread her legs as quickly for the boys. Maybe she doesn't let a husband take all her money. Or maybe she walks away sooner if she was your mom and she's being abused. Or maybe if you're a guy, you don't let yourself get beaten by your wife. Maybe you say, I'm out of here. Nobody gets to treat me this way. Whatever it is. But when we're so used to getting little capfuls of love, what I talk about in the book, this relationship camel. When we're so used to just getting that, we think that's normal. And so we'll hold on to anything. You can do anything you want to me. Just give me a little bit of love, right? So what we have to do, and this is what you have to do in your life, and you did it today, you're doing it with your therapist, and now you really need a deep dive. It's going into that motherfucking cup and pulling out all that crud, all the shit you don't want to touch. And I ain't even talking about the husband, pulling the trigger shit. Yeah, there's that. But you're becoming much more fluent in talking about that. You did a super duper job today. You really did. It was courageous. I'm talking about the shit that came long before that, kiddo. The real shit. Like you still protecting your mom to this day. And I'm not saying you ever need to confront your mom. You know that you don't ever have to confront your living, breathing mom in order to heal. I can heal you without you ever doing that. But you do need to confront the mom whose voice and bullshit is still inside of you. Because I don't know if you've heard me talk about this on the show. When my daughter was about 11, I was living out in Los Angeles at the time, and brought her out, and she had wanted to be a dolphin trainer. So brought her out. We took her to SeaWorld. My second wife and I, we took her to SeaWorld. Have you heard me talk about this on the show? We took her to SeaWorld. Yeah. Okay. And we paid for her to be dolphin trainer for a day. And they put on the wetsuit, and she's down in the pool with the trainers, with the dolphins at SeaWorld. It's fucking cool, right? And you're standing on these blocks in the pool. And so she's up to her waist or up to her chest roughly. And they're right there with the trainers. And we left her there, and we watched for a little bit, and then we left. And then afterwards we asked her, how was it? And she's just over the moon, right? It was great. And so on the drive home, and after we'd gone through SeaWorld, on the drive home, we're asking, so what did you learn? And so much, and how was it, et cetera, et cetera. And she said one of the things she learned was this. When they're rewarding a dolphin, now we all know dolphins are very intelligent, but they're also very feeling. It astounds me that I don't even know what that means. I mean, I have dogs and I know they feel, but they say that dolphins are like off the charts, whatever. Anyway, that when they reward a dolphin, they give it a fish and, pet it and shit like that, which is weird to me. I don't understand. I don't understand animals, but I believe them. She said, but do you know how they, quote unquote, punish a dolphin? Like if it doesn't do the trick right or something. They don't hit it or anything or yell at it. Do you know what they do? The trainer, standing in the pool with the dolphin, the trainer will simply turn its back on the dolphin.
Really?
That's all it does. And the dolphin feels that disconnection so powerfully that the dolphin feels bad. The dolphin gets the message. Your father, your mother turned their back on little Charo when she was a 13-year-old girl. I mean, think about the age you are now. And you look at a 13-year-old girl now, and you're like, oh my God, she's a little girl, right?
Yeah.
Your perspective on a teenager changes when you're 30, when you're, when you're 50 or what. It really changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm having trouble with her, so I gotta figure it out.
And what's the biggest struggle you're having with her right now?
Connection, her not trusting me for leaving to go to rehab multiple times, and her thinking I'm the reason for Justin also. And she had a rough life because I think she got the worst of it when I was drinking.
Yeah.
I was verbally abusive.
Yep.
She had to deal with things like that.
Yeah. And she is, in some ways, it sounds like she's replicating who you were. She's angry at you for hurting her. She can't trust you because she wants to love you. She wants love from you, but you just keep hurting her, the rehab and the hurtful things and so forth. But she, more than anyone, and also those two little ones, they just want love poured into their love cup. And what's interesting about this is you wouldn't be seeing a therapist, Charo. You wouldn't have bought my book. You wouldn't be on this show unless there was this voice rising up from your soul that wants to heal. And I admire you for that, because a whole lot of people don't listen to that voice. They're just like, fuck that shit. Fuck the kids. Fuck it. I'm a good mom. Fuck that shit. Toughen up, kid. Fuck you. Okay.
No, I feel the opposite and I want to get better.
Right. And that's good. But the shitty part is it means looking at my own shit, and it means feeling that shit, and that shit feels ugly. Let me ask you, what do you do other than the therapy, which is excellent? Good girl. What other than that do you do to get the feelings out of you? Do you journal at all? Anything like that? Do you talk about your stuff with like a good listener other than your therapist?
I've talked to my friends about it. Like after my husband died, I went to rehab for 4 months.
That's good.
And so that helped a lot to
do you journal?
Figure my shit out.
Do you journal at all?
Huh?
Do you journal with a pen and paper at all, or not really?
Sometimes,
okay.
But not too much. Okay. I try to, but then I just don't.
That's fair. That's fair. What do you hate the most about journaling? Let me ask you that. Boring?
No, it's not boring. I just never give myself the permission to sit down and journal because I have so much other stuff to do.
Right. And that's totally understandable. And those other things, fortunately, are nice little distractions too. It may, enables you to not have to think about.
I don't want to think about my shit. Yeah,
that's right.
I don't want to write it on paper because then it's real.
And so the bottom line is this: I'm going to just be totally straight with you, Charo. You know I'm straight. That's how I run my life and my business and the show and everything. So you came on here for straight. I'm going to give you straight. If you want that connection with your daughter, and if you don't want to fuck up the next two. If you want your next relationship, and you're going to have more relationships, all right? You're a good person. You're a loving person. You're going to have more relationships. And if you want them to actually be good, and if you actually want to be happy in your life. So those 5 things, 3 great kids, great next relationship, and great relationship with your own self. You have to. There's just no other way around it. You have to do the journaling. But I'm going to give you an easier way to even do the journaling. Much easier way. I'm going to tell you that in 2 seconds. You have to. You have to go into the book. You have to do this journaling because the point is you're feeling all this shit, but and it's good that you're feeling it. I have clients who it's locked in that fucking vault. Like you talk about, I push the memories back. I try not to think about it. They're keeping that vault shut. But you're basically saying, I can't keep the vault shut. It's in me, right? Good. So that's step number 1. It's up. Now we got to give it a point of exit, right? We got to show it the exit door. The exit doors are in the middle cabin here, and at the front of the cabin and at the back of the cabin. We got to give you exit doors. That's what journaling is for. You have to. This isn't, and the truth is, you say, I can never find the time. Well, that's fine, except because you're not finding the time, your daughter is not connected to you. And the thing is, now she's going to start doing something to get a connection, to get love from someone.
I already see it.
Yep. You know it.
She doesn't live with me. She lives with her dad, so it's hard for me to get that connection.
That's it.
It's doubly hard.
It is, but here's the thing, kid. Here's the thing. It's not lost. I have clients into their 70s who are still trying to get connected to their parent. So it is not lost. But the truth is, you have to prove yourself now, and you prove yourself by doing one thing and one thing only: healing yourself. Healing yourself. And you will heal yourself. And then it comes through consistent action. But you can't do the consistent action until you go down deep and heal your own authentic belief system. And that's where I come in, okay? But it's you committing to the work. So you can piss around and do all these distractions of your bullshit everyday life. And I'm not saying your life's bullshit, but they are bullshit if they're distracting you from doing the fucking work to save your child.
You're right.
They are bullshit. Yeah, you're fucking right. I'm right.
I can talk to a therapist, but that's, that can go on forever,
Exactly. Especially if I'm just talking about this last week's bullshit, I'm sad this week. Well, fuck you. That doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck about this last week. I want to get into the mom shit. I want to get into the dad shit. I want to get into the 13-year-old shit. And I guarantee you the shit with mom and dad probably started back when you were 4 or 6. Okay. And that's
definitely did.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the easy hack. And then we're going to wind it up here. The easy hack to start journaling is I want you to do this. And you write this shit down right now if you have pen and paper. I want you, and if you don't, that's okay. It's easy to remember. I want you, first and foremost, to write a letter to your dead husband. I want you to write a letter to him. And I want you to pour out everything. I don't want you to hold back. I want you to tell him what a fucking cocksucker he was for not fucking helping out. Why didn't you just help out? Has it occurred to you, asshole, that you wouldn't be dead if you just helped out? These were your kids too. And by the way, I fucking love you and I miss you. And why couldn't you give me more attention? And you know what? I should have been nicer to you too. And you know what? You had the cutest ass. And you know what else? What the fuck was with your old man? Why was he living in our fucking house? And you know what? The love, the longing, because part of what's keeping you stuck with him isn't just the anger and the rage and the regret. It's the love and missing him. And all of those feelings got to come out here. The love, the longing, the rage, the regret, the guilt. Write that. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry I said that stuff, honey. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Even if you write a sorry 4,000 times in that letter. And the truth is, you're going to write more than one letter to him. But I want you to start, because you can't be afraid of this shit anymore. Because as long as you keep trying to stuff this stuff down and be afraid of this shit, you're not healing. So you're fucked in your relationship with your daughter, and you're just going to fuck these relationships with the little ones. You still got an amazing shot with these little ones. Amazing. And you still got an amazing kid. You're young. You got so much. You got 60 years ahead of you. You got a chance to change it now. You got a million chances after that, even if you delay it now. But you got to have the brass balls to go into this shit. And it's ugly and it's scary and it's hard, but you got to just say, what's the truth? And then the other thing I want you to do, so start with a letter to him, then a letter to dad that you don't send and don't give to him. You can't give it to him, because if you think you're ever going to give it to him or read it to him, you're going to edit it.
I did one in 2020. I can write a new one, though.
Did you give it to him?
No, it's still in my drawer.
Good. No, I want to
I did this work in rehab.
Yeah, I want a completely new one. No holds barred. But then the whopper, I want you to write a letter to mom. Especially after this motherfucking conversation today. Because the person you're most mad at ain't just dad. The real shit that you've been avoiding your whole motherfucking life is mom. The sadness, you miss her so much. You want her love so fucking much. You ache for your mommy.
Yeah, she lives with me. That's the problem, too.
For fuck's sake. Jesus God. Well, then the rage, too. All of this shit has to come out. All of it. And you know what? If you got to burn those fucking letters, burn them. Put them in the shredder, flush them down the toilet. I flush mine down the toilet when I'm at the gym journaling. Flush it down the toilet. Who gives a fuck? Tear it up. Okay, but the bottom line is, you got to start, kid. Because if you don't start, your problems are just going to go on. And guess what? Our problems don't get smaller. They expand. You got to start. You don't have a fucking choice. Your problems are just going to get bigger. They don't magically go away. All right.
Right.
You think you got the balls to do this, to finally begin to step into the problems rather than running from them? Do you think you finally have the courage to really attack this shit?
Yeah, I need to get my shit together. So yeah.
And don't even look. I want you to not even look at it like that, because
I need to stop avoiding it, because I want to do it all the time, but I avoid it. So
it's fear. And what
tomorrow.
Yep. And tell me in one sentence or less. This will be my final question for you today. In one sentence or less, what is the grand fear that keeps you saying tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow? What ultimately, in one sentence or less, is the fear that keeps you from addressing this shit?
I don't know. Just bringing up all the hurt that I feel.
And feeling it, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Feeling my feelings.
Exactly. You have a lifetime of hurt feelings inside of you. And all I'm saying is you will never know freedom. You will never know sweet release. You will never know a sense of lightness like you will when you finally get that shit out. When you stop running from it and you just turn and face it. It's going to take some work, but it doesn't take forever. If you actually face it and go deep into it, you can bang this shit out, but it doesn't have to take forever. But oh my God, you have no idea what's ahead. I know it's scary, but you can do it. You can do it. It's just facing your shit. And I'm telling you, kid, you got a great life ahead. Would you be willing to stick around for just 2-3 minutes after the show?
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you so much for being on this show, Charo. You've been an awesome guest with a ridiculously crazy story, but you've been so open and honest. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And to all of our listeners around the world, on behalf of my team here, Rob the Rocket, Sophia the Artist, and KC in the booth, I want to say, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by 2-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.